Yeah, Baltimore Buffalo is set to face off this weekend. In a game that they're saying that probably the winner will take the Super Bowl. Do you think that the quarterbacks are overshadowing this game, or is there something, or is there more to it that we're overseeing or overlooking?
Well, I mean, I the story obviously is going to be Lamar and Josh, and it should be. They're going to finish 1-2 or 2-1 in MVP. They were first team and second team All Pro. They have been the non Chiefs story of the year. Here is what I find really interesting and also a little vexing or frustrating about some of the Lamar MVP arguments, which I understand, but the key to this game is probably Derrick Henry. And I think most Ravens fans and Ravens bettors want this to be a game that Derrick Henry is the star actor of rather than Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar was exceptional in round one. In round one, they were both awesome. But in this game, when you look at in particular the edges that Baltimore has, it's their giant, powerful offensive line up against a somewhat undersized Bills defense. Additionally, when you don't have Zay Flowers, and listen, he hasn't been ruled out, but he didn't practice yesterday, it is going to have to be a Derrick Henry game. And I think that what makes you nervous if you're a Ravens fan is we have seen a tendency in the past, particularly if Lamar is up against another elite quarterback, that they seem to call a game plan that says, Lamar, go throw for throw with this guy, and that's not their best way to win. Their best way to win is the way they played last week, where they utilize the fact that Lamar is as devastating a rushing threat as any quarterback in NFL history. You then you have a first ballot Hall of Fame running back, and then you can take advantage of downfield passing because the other team is so concerned about what you can do in the running game. That's their best path. The way they played the Chiefs in the AFC title game, the way they played the Chiefs in week one of the season was, no, we're going to have Lamar be a pure pocket passer. And when they do that, that offense is not as terrifying. I understand that that Lamar's passing numbers are elite. I absolutely get that. I also understand the games are televised, and he is as brilliant as any player in league history at melding the threat to run while also staying a willing passer and taking advantage of the fact that the defense is caught in between two bad options. But we also know that and that's why I thought that 3rd and 13 touchdown on the opening drive against Pittsburgh was such a big play for him. He has not historically been as effective in spots where there's not the threat to run at all. The defense can purely play the pass. That's when the Ravens offense has been stymied. Now, it wasn't that in the few spots, the few 3rd and longs he had against Pittsburgh, he came through repeatedly. And so that Derrick Henry is the key kind of focal point when the Ravens have the ball. And when the Bills have the ball, it's actually oddly, I don't want to say similar, but it's also about the running game, except for the Bills, it's more about Josh Allen's running, which is the Bills are not going to be able to create enough plays, big plays, through the air or James Cook in order to beat the Ravens unless the Ravens offense just falls apart. The only way they can create enough big plays is if Josh Allen has at least 3, if not 4, devastating scrambles where it's 3rd and medium or 3rd and long. It is a pure passing situation, and Josh Allen surveys the field. It's not there, and then goes and does Josh Allen things with his legs. Because the Bills do not have the talent on the receiving core to exploit the Ravens secondary, which has been really good the second half of the season. What the Bills do have is the best offensive line in the AFC. In fact, the 2 best offensive lines in the AFC might be playing in this game. And so this should be an all-time game. I think the Zay Flowers injury really matters because when the Bills' defense has looked vulnerable, it's been because that back end can't hold up. I also think that, and I love this part about playoff football, I know other people don't, I think the weather is a huge factor here. It is supposed to be a real feel. It's supposed to be 8 degrees with a real feel of -3. Now, the other really unique thing about this, DeMonze, is not that Lamar is, well documented, does not like the cold, Florida kid, but also that the Ravens this week have been practicing indoors because their field, I guess, is frozen. And I want to get you, so I'm going to read you directly from BaltimoreRavens.com. Though the Ravens are in store for an icebox at Highmark Stadium, they did not practice outdoors Wednesday for a very simple reason. The ground is frozen. We got it as cold as we can in here right now. It will be even colder tomorrow when I get all the water shut off in here so the pipes don't freeze, Harbaugh said. So we'll have it cold. Would love to be outside, but we just can't. The fields are too hard, and they're frozen. I don't love that, man.
I mean, the fields aren't going to be frozen at the game. I mean, that's...
No. I understand the rationale. What I'm saying is it's bad fortune that I guess their practice fields aren't heated from the bottom like you can do in certain facilities. Maybe you can't really do that outdoors. I'm not a landscaper. But you are not preparing as well as you could for the elements by practicing indoors. Flatly. You're just not. And the idea that we're going to get it really cold in here, not as cold as it is outside in Baltimore right now. And however cold it is right now in Baltimore, it is much colder in Western New York. So now people can say that that's going to make it harder to tackle Derrick Henry. And it might. That is a thing that could happen where people don't want to tackle Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has, he hasn't played in one of these spots prior to the Pittsburgh game in quite some time. His last 3 playoff games before the Pittsburgh game were all bad by his standards. Now, that was teams where every single person on the opposing defense was like, we stop Derrick Henry, we win. But he went 20 for 62 against the Bengals. He went 18 for 40 against Baltimore. And he went 19 for 69 against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. What's unique about that 3-game stretch is his playoff career prior to that was 30 for 195 against Baltimore, 34 for 182 against the Patriots, 12 for 28 against the Patriots in a loss, and 23 for 156 against the Chiefs in a win. So Derrick Henry for his playoff career has 8 games, 4 of which, are A+ games, and 4 of which were bad games. He's never had like an average playoff game. He has gone for either more than 150 yards or less than 70 yards in all 8 of his games. It's a really unique game. Like, so when you look at it, you're like, oh, he's played in 8 playoff games, has 900 rushing yards. He gets you about 100 yards a game. But that's not true. Going from in kind of ascending order, his rushing yards per playoff game are 28, 40, 62, 69, and then 156, 182, 186, 195. So it really is like you're not, again, the past is not necessarily an indication of the future, but based on the past, you don't get B+ Derrick Henry playoff games. You get C- or worse, or holy shit, that guy was dominant. And by the way, now again, it is not, he was on a Titans team with Ryan Tannehill as the quarterback, so that is not the situation here. But the 4 games he didn't hit 70 yards, 0-4, and the 4 games he had at least 150, 4-0. Like, now those are, that's not surprising to anyone. And this Ravens team is far better built than any of those Titans teams to be able to win, even if he doesn't have a monster game, because they have Lamar at quarterback, not Derrick Henry. But that is something I'm sorry, not Ryan Tannehill. That is something I'm super excited to watch. And we'll get to the pick part of it later. But the Bills being a home dog is noteworthy. They weren't a home dog against the Chiefs last year. They haven't been a home dog in the playoffs since, anyone have the year? I'll tell you, 1967. And they haven't been a home dog in the regular season in their last 40-some games. So, it's surprising to me that Buffalo is a home dog. Now, we shouldn't disregard, we can't talk about this game without acknowledging the fact these two teams did play earlier this year, and it was not a classic. It was a rout. 35-10 Baltimore, up 21-3 at the half was Baltimore. Derrick Henry ran 24 times for $199. Lamar only had to pass the ball 18 times, but on those 18 pass attempts threw for 160, couple touchdowns, a 135 rating. Baltimore ran for 270 yards, and Josh Allen didn't do anything. Josh Allen ran the ball 5 times for 21 yards, threw it 16 of 29 for $180, no touchdowns, no picks, a 74 rating. So they did, now that was back in September, but they played, and it was a true rout. And so that is, and by the way, it wasn't a game, let me make sure I'm right about this. I don't think the turnover battle, no, the turnovers were 1-1. So you got a true rout in a game when turnovers didn't really play a factor. So that's a big check mark in Baltimore's favor. They doubled them up in yards, and Derrick Henry had his way with them. So we'll see. I said it before, I'll say it again.
They already played. What? Oh, go ahead. I mean, because McDermott had said that this is what everybody's been waiting for. Lamar going up against Buffalo. Would you consider that bulletin board material? Or is it what everybody's been waiting for?
Oh, well, I mean, no. I mean, it is Lamar versus Josh, because of the MVP stuff, is what people have been waiting for all year. And I'll go a step further than Sean McDermott. I hope this is the greatest game in NFL history. I hope this is our first ever triple overtime playoff game. I hope people are telling their kids about what an absolute war this football game was. I hope it goes deep into Sunday night, and whomever wins comes out limping and battered and bruised to get ready to come to Arrowhead the following week. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.